Sloan, Shanquilla or Shanquilla Carter. Basically, I want to speak on trust issues, and I'm calling this Lyin or lying, Lyin. Apostrophe instead of the G or whatever. But lying or lying. So I'm gonna kind of speak on three different things, I guess, and I might briefly just throw in some other stuff why it's with it. But it's three specific times in my history that affected my trust. I have more than that, of course, but you know, these things are definite issues that occur. So, Abaya, thank you for this opportunity to talk and speak. May what I say not just be about my emotions or me playing victim or whatever. Just want to share because I'm pretty sure that I'm not alone in this, that others may relate to their trust being tore down. And they may want to hear that someone else has walked some type of steps or similar steps like them and that they can get through it, but it's still the truth. Hallelujah. All right. So let me I guess go to a scripture to start off and just start there anyway. Let me see, let me put the scripture up and let me go there. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick. And so this is no, that's not where I want to go. I want to go over here actually. So Proverbs 12 or Michelle 12:22, it says, lying lips are an abomination to Yahuwah, but those who deal truly are his delight. Yeah. That right there is just, I don't really have a foundation of scripture or whatever because I'm not really, I just want to talk, you know, want to talk, share a bit about me. So this is not really a ministry moment or whatever. I'm not trying to teach, I guess, per se, the scriptures or whatever. I'm gonna share something, just sharing. And so let me also share my screen and show you something else. All right. This is one thing. Example of gaslighting. When somebody tells you, oh, you're being dramatic, you just made that up. You sound crazy. You're overreaching. You're acting insane. Well, with me, they tell me that I'm too sensitive. Or they'll tell me everybody doesn't think like you. Or you shouldn't judge people how you judge yourself. And I get all that. I get it. I can't put other people in my shoes. I can't hold them to my expectations, but I still have to have a standard that I hold for myself, and I still gauge things by that. No, I can't get upset with people, but I do expect your truth or your word to be your bond. What you say, I expect that to be where you are actually planning on doing that, that, this is what you said you're going to do, this is what you're going to do. I have that expectation. Otherwise, why even believe anything you ever have to say if everything is going to not manifest that you say? Then you're basically tricking me or manipulating me, controlling me with what you're saying. And that's, what gaslighting kind of does. It tries to, change the control. A lot of times, people victim shame. They make it as if the person who's been done wrong is the one that's really the problem, and that they are the ones that are attracting that or whatever, and not that they are sought out. And a lot of times, people that are victims are sought out. But these things I'm finna share about that broke my trust, it ain't really, I ain't gonna say victim or whatever, but just some of the reality of how things went. So the first one I want to talk about is how basically I was given this narrative. If you be good, Santa gonna take care of you for Christmas. So I had this big thing now. I don't care for presents as much as presents. I want to have your time, have you more so than your gifts. I never really had, got good gifts or whatever and stuff like that. So basically, I would do good in school, living in a house with cousins, and they would do poorly. But when it got around Christmas time or whatever, I may get one gift and my cousin would get trash bags full of gifts. Now, his mother did die when he was younger, so it really was no fault of his own. Now, there was something like a lot of times he would mess up my toys, my whatever, the small thing I got, and I couldn't play with his, and I was a little bit older than him. So that definitely, we didn't always mesh a lot of times. We clashed a lot. We're not the closest now, but we still got love for one another and stuff like that. But still, let's get to this trust matter. So I'm told all of this that, the better you are, that you'll be rewarded by Santa. And I'm looking at this like, man, I'm doing all this in school, doing all this around here, and he cutting up and he getting more. So happened that my nosy self happened to find in my mother's closet gifts. So I, basically found out that there was no Santa after being told about this Santa person or whatever. Now, with that, there's a problem. Snooping in your mom's room is not good, but it's also a problem that I got kind of told something that was not the truth. I'm not gonna call my mama a liar, you know, and this is something that's common in society that people lie about Christmas or whatever. Santa, the whole Santa narrative, having their kids, and that was something that I did not put into my children. I didn't put that lie in because again, I already had that trust issue off of that. And so people say, "Oh, well, you damaged your children, or you withheld from your children something that you know will be a pleasure or a joy." My children used to go to school and basically spoil Christmas for other children, which I didn't want them to do and told them not to do. But they were just being honest. What you want from Santa, there is no Santa. They would flat out say it, and that's because I taught them that truth from the beginning. And of course, that had me looked at a lot of times in a negative light by other parents, by even relatives and everything else, because they like, you are, I guess, a killjoy. So again, that affected my trust with my mom a little bit. Now, moving on, I never really knew my father. I think I've had seen him only 5 times in my life. And there was this period of time that, I was hearing these coming around, and it was around the Star Wars time. Star Wars toys, and I had some Star Wars toys. And I end up over his mama's house where he was staying, and all the while I wasn't really spending no time with him. He sent me outside with some neighbor kids from the house or whatever. I didn't know these kids. I'm outside playing with them, and then when I'm supposed to spend the night, supposed to hang out with him, and his mother didn't seem to care for me much. I didn't know her. This first time I ever seen her and everything. And, he talked about, at that time, McDonald's was just like the best thing for a child or whatever, or the most exciting meal, option, because my mama couldn't really afford to fast food for me and stuff like that. I didn't, really have fast food on a regular basis or nothing like that. That was a reward or that was a treat. And so my father, he said he was going to take me to McDonald's. And so I wasn't really caring as much. I did care because I was a child, a young child about the McDonald's, but I wanted to spend time with him. But I'm outside with these kids. And so when I finally get in, you know, he had been talking to one of his friends, and the whole gist of me being there was to be with him, spend some time with him. And so didn't go to McDonald's. He ended up taking me to a side store. He got me a little hug, a little quarter. It was a quarter drink and a quarter bag of chips and maybe a cake. Junk food. And he took me home, took me to my mama. I cried like it wasn't nothing. You know, messed me up. So every time he would come around, I wanted to entertain being around him or stuff like that, or trying to, spend some time with him. And my mama would never say nothing negative about it. All my other family would. So when it got to me my senior year, my mama, again, she was struggling taking care of me. You know, I went from like what, maybe 5'5" to 6'4". I you know to the point that I was wearing hand-me-downs from people shorter than me. I think I was probably one of the first ones sagging because I would wear pants that were shorter than me, and so I had to basically hang them off my butt to make the bottom of the bottom part of the pants touch my shoes. I got buddy shoes, flooding pants, and I would wear these like mock Hawaiian shirts or whatever, so that they can hang out my shirt and cover up my butt hanging out. You know, because I was taller than the people that I got hand me downs from, and I was getting bullied like crazy. So my mama couldn't really afford to put me in none. So when it got to senior year and stuff like that, and it come time, okay, thinking about a prom or whatever, I had no thoughts of doing prom. I didn't have no job, didn't have no money. Well, I'm gonna go to a prom. So somehow my dad popped up again, you know, and I think this might have been the third time I had ever dealt with this man, because I only seen him like again. I physically seen him, I think, 5 times in my life. So that might maybe that hold on. That wasn't a time I seen him because he called. So that I had already seen him the 5 times, but this was a call, and he was talking about, well, my son, I want you to go to prom. Now, my grandmama always told me that dude, she used the N word, is always going, he lying. So he didn't want me to tell that he was supposed to be sending me money for the prom, and I'm waiting and waiting, and so happened, we talk another day, and I don't know, I was cussing in the conversation, and it looked to me like he was trying to find a reason to not send me the money because he wasn't gonna send it anyway. And he tried to check me or whatever, and I kind of went in on him like, dude, I don't know you. I'm like, I will try to kill you because I don't know you. You might have love for me because I'm your son, but I don't know you. And I think that was the last time I ever talked to him, and that was wrong. I was what, about 18 when I first, and you know, but still, him lying about sending me money or whatever and stuff, it bothered me. It's like, man, and I was done with that dude then, but it took when my son was born in 1999, I started trying to look for my father and couldn't find him. Some years later, probably what, early 2000s, I actually found out that he actually died in 99. And that kind of messed me up, that I was looking for him to kind of brag and show off that, yeah, I'm taking care of my son, you know. So that right there, that trust is just like, and him being my father, I definitely, have higher trust issues with men more so than women because I was raised up by women. Even though I had serious trust issues with women because they always seem to want to control and manipulate. But again, that's what I'm around all the time. So I'm more forgiving towards women than I am men. Because men, I don't have no rapport, as far as that. When it comes to my friends and stuff like that, or people I call my friends, they always bullied me or treated me bad anyway. So I could trust that they would fail me. Only time that I was safe is by myself, really. That's how I felt. Made to feel that I was inadequate and all this stuff, ugly, all this stuff. My trust was trash. You know, I had other stuff to trust, but I'm gonna hit my third point, and you know that won't be the last. I'll probably add in some other stuff, but I basically had started trying to walk according to the Bible or whatever. Stop eating pork. No, I didn't stop eating shellfish at that time, but I stopped eating pork, and I think that was around 1990, around there, stuff like that. I stopped eating pork, and I started getting heavy into ministry. Dealing with ministry, church, and time went on. End up getting married and everything. My first marriage was hell. That definitely was a challenge to trust. I don't want to make this about bashing her because I done said so much on that, and so I'm gonna skip forward. I became a part of this ministry, and I did that as I was going through the process of divorce with my first wife, and I started marrying in the process of marrying my current wife, who I've been married to 21 years, going to be 22 years. And so in this ministry, I was like, okay, I'm going in to be ministering training. I'm doing all this stuff, going through Bible college. And so I'm I'm doing the work. I got my papers. I still got my papers. Me and my wife done went through stuff recently and seen some of the papers, seen my grades and everything. So I passed, But when I got to the preach the word, I've never been good at public speaking. Now y'all see me do these videos and stuff like this, but I was never comfortable speaking. Now I'm a little bit more comfortable speaking, but I used to be so stage fright and so scared. And so to do that took a lot. So I'm preparing everything and I'm like, okay, I want to see how this go. The minister that was over the class for that day was not the pastor who was supposed to watch the videos. This is somebody I thought was a friend of mine. So I'm doing my sermon and everything, and I'm, you know, thinking I'm doing well and everything. And so I'm like, doing well. Now, afterwards, they put it on DVD and they gave us our copy. So me being someone that's into, graphics and computer stuff, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna burn me some copies and give it out to my family and my friends. I did that. I did that. So after I gave out to this, mom and all this stuff, I asked people, hey, how y'all like my sermon? What y'all think? What's your critique? Oh, it was good. So I let time pass a little bit, and then I decided, okay, let me watch my trial sermon. And as I watching it, my sermon was about 15 minutes, but the DVD only had about 2.5 minutes. So somehow all my sermon wasn't on there. So I'm like, man, maybe but mine was the master copy of what I copied for everybody else. So I'm like, man, nobody mentioned that this was only a couple of minutes or whatever. And so I'm like, what's going on? And so I get to asking people again, they like my sermon. Yeah, they like. I snuck. Well, I ain't sneak. I was over at my grandma's house where my mama also lived, and I put the DVD in, and I seen it was still the 2.5. So I'm like, they didn't even watch this thing. I'm like, how they gonna tell me it was good and they didn't even watch it? I'm like, wow. Because the way it ended, it was abrupt and everything like that. And so I wouldn't ask Minister Gerald, I mean, the minister that recorded it, and I'm like, what happened? Oh man, yeah, it had stopped. Why you didn't tell me this? That you didn't even record. And then I'm like, okay, I got a passing grade for that class. What did Pastor Stokes get to, to judge off of? Well, yeah, I told him in it. But he was supposed to watch my video and give me, he didn't get to see anything because there was nothing there. And see, I never advanced administering training. Um, I passed Bible college, of course, but I'm like, man, it made me even question afterwards, like, man, is this even real? I got the certificate and everything, but what did you evaluate on? Man, my trust for that ministry started diminishing big time. A lot of the stuff that was going on and me asking questions and they never would answer it until I went and researched and found the answers myself. Then they want to come with answers to refute whatever I had to say. Man, trust just gone. I'm like, I felt like they were clowning me a lot. And and see, I, you know, again, I started finding out stuff, whatever. My ex-wife was, calling in and accusing me of abuses, stuff towards her and my children and stuff like that. And so those were other lies and stuff like that that, you know, they didn't trust me, I guess. And so I'm like, trust matters to me. I have people lying to me on basic stuff, it's like, okay, how you like that? Oh man, I really like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm okay with you telling me the truth. Oh, I really don't. I'm not into that. But you really are. You're just not into it for me. I don't understand, and when I pull up receipts on people when they lie and stuff like that, it's like, man, you always looking for something wrong. And I'm not. But people's words not their bond. I was given authority a couple of different times in situations, and basically, though I was supposedly the authority person, they were making decisions or making doing things behind my back that showed that I didn't have any authority. So things that I set in motion, they were tearing down. And because they were the ones that gave me the authority, of course, the persons that they were dealing with, it's like, okay, it's his thing. And so I'm like, wow. And these are ministry situations. And it's like, okay. And of course, Yah told me, when I, basically, prayed on it and everything, it's like you wasn't ever supposed to be there anyway. I live here in Flint, Michigan and stuff like that, and I've tried to organize stuff here, but I've been undermined on a lot of different things, and you know, my trust is shot on dealing with some people because they really ain't about their word. I can love you all day, but my trust. When it comes to work, stuff like that. I'm like, you could tell people stuff and they use those things against you. You know, I've had a Achilles surgery. My tendon ruptured and I was off work for 10 months. And so it's cold here in Michigan, below zero sometimes with wind chill and stuff like that. And, you know, I don't know. My grandmama used to always say that, oh, I can feel it when it's going to rain. Or, the older you get, your aches you can feel when the weather's about to change. Man, Achilles be kicking my butt when it's cold. It don't stop me from walking, don't stop me from doing stairs and stuff like that. But I do have to be mindful that it's going is it's like, oh, it's tightening up and it be hurting. Got to be mindful. You know, everybody else ain't gonna be looking out for you. A lot of times you could be in pain or whatever, and you could share it with somebody, and they may, hey, do this, do that. A lot of times when you let somebody know your area of weakness, they will expose that area even more. And I can give an example. A person that has a weakness with drinking, so now they invite you over and they sitting up with a drink in front of you. Oh, you got a weakness with women. You know, could you drop this woman off at home? Stuff like people can put you in compromising situations, and sometimes you have to make a choice on what you're gonna do for your benefit to make sure you're okay. You know, you can't trust everybody with all your information. You know, I don't know. I watched this one skit. Country Wayne, and how a woman had her best friend around her husband, and of course, what the best friend ended up messing with the husband. You can't trust everybody, and trust is easy to break. I trust people to be who they are. So when you show me you a certain way, I trust you to be that way. A person that basically will lie on small things, why would you not think that they would lie on big things? See, I'm a lion, so I speak boldly on stuff. I used to be the timid guy that wouldn't say much or nothing, but no, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Oh man, hey dude, my breath stink. Yeah, your breath stink, dude. I'm not gonna front you off in front of everybody else, but you asked me, and so yeah, I'm gonna tell you. If I see you walking around with some toilet, hey, bro, get that off your foot. See you with a booger in your nose, hey man, wipe your nose. I don't have to front you off, but I can say stuff, and so it's amazing how people don't want to be embarrassed, and you can pull them to the side and say stuff directly to them, but they don't want to hear it from you. And so when it gets out there, people know what's going on with you. They can see that your flaws or whatever and stuff like that. And it's sad that people won't say that. They won't tell you what's going on. I'm like, I look, my close friend LaRue has shared many times that it was a time, what we at that ministry that we were both a part of. It was like, man, we were sitting out. I was sitting out with the guys, we talking, and here come LaRue with his music. And they're like, oh man, here he come with this music, man. And all this stuff sound the same, blah blah. He gonna try to sell it, sell his music. So I'm like, why don't y'all just tell him what he can do to change it? That man walks by trying to sell it, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna get it later. Yeah, man, your stuff be dope. Look, they telling him all this stuff that was different than what they said when he wasn't there. I went on and bought one. But then I talked to him later on, and I think I might even right there, and I told him, you know, that I don't always like what he doing and whatever. And he asked me for details. What don't I like? And I shared that. That man, I don't know. He looked at me like he was surprised that I said it, but I don't feel like he got offended. And I think that's what made us, kind of connect a little bit more. You know, that's my guy. I'm his guy. You know, I don't know. Maybe I don't have the proper tact or whatever, because sometimes I'm too truthful or whatever. But I'll shoot you straight on what I take, and my take is not the end all be all. It's not the standard, but it's standard for me. So you ain't got to be like me or got to do like me, but know that if you ask me something, I'll tell you the truth from my perspective. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just telling you, I'm like, hey, it's been times I done been around friends and they breath stink, and I hand them a mint. And like, what's this for? Just take it. I'm not trying to ever hurt you by telling you the truth if I love you. if I don't love you, a lot of times I'll let you sit in whatever you're doing and just be looking at you like you stupid. I don't have to say nothing. When I don't like somebody, I'm like, what? Ain't my problem. If I'm talking to you about something or whatever and trying to help you with something, it's a lot of times because I really do care for you. And I don't front people off. I really, talk to them without a audience or whatever. But if they don't receive it, what you gonna do? And so I do a lot of times put up general statements and stuff like that, and people would be like, "Oh, you be subbing," and I'm like, "Okay." A lot of times, the people that when you try to talk to them directly, they can't receive it. So just like with the Most High or the Son of the Most High, he would say stuff in parables. Just like with David, David had a problem. He stole one of his soldiers' wives and set that man up to die. And Nathan had to give him a parable to make him think about an act that was done wrongly, and then he had to relate. This is you I'm talking about. So yeah, you could say I sub people or whatever. A lot of times I'm not. I'm just speaking general. Right now, I'm talking about trust. I ain't trying to hit nobody. I'm dealing with me. I had a matter at work where I had told somebody about my Achilles or whatever and stuff like that, and I thought because they shared with me about their injury first, and so I shared mine. And so the fact that they do some self-preservation type stuff to make sure that their injury doesn't stop them from working or whatever, I figured they would realize that same thing I would be doing. And I was wrong. I trusted them too much to not to just know them. I basically bonded off of a similar situation and thinking since we have a similar situation, he would understand me taking the same precautions. He didn't. I blame myself for that because I gave him way too much information and I feel like he used that information against me. I felt like what he was, having me do could hurt me. And if it was him in the reverse, if I was trying to have him do it, there's no way he would have did it because he would have said my leg, whatever. But again, I can't expect people to be like me. And so that in itself, sometimes I even challenge my own trust of myself. Like, you know, trusting in my memories. The older I get, I definitely play back stuff a lot. But I'm like, man, am I seeing this correctly, or did I did I did I miss it? I'm telling the story or whatever, but am I leaving out details? Am I painting myself to be better in a situation than I really was? I'm always judging myself. And I want to be able to trust myself because a lot of times when I say stuff, when I discern stuff, people have me questioning my own discernment. It's like, man, I can't even. And then the thing that Yah always shows me, though, he always, when it rolls out, stuff, it comes out. That one minister that recorded the video of me or whatever and stuff like that, he was going through marriage problems and I discerned it. And when I asked him about it, he told me, oh, everything great. A month later, he was divorced. So the process had to started way before then. That man flat out lied to me, which it was his personal business. He could have just told me none of his business, none of my business. I mean, but again, you can't tell somebody else how to function. But again, my trust for that guy, we ain't friends to this day. I wanted to be his friend or whatever, but everybody don't want you to be their friend. Everybody don't want to be your friend. It just is what it is. You could have a desire to connect with people and they don't have the same desire with you. It's been many people I've trust with my information, but it's not reciprocal. You know, some of my closest friends, basically, well, people I thought were my closest friends, the relationship soured because they lied. Or many times they had offense with me and they say, "Oh, I'm not offended," and I would discern that yes, you are. What can I do to resolve? Oh, ain't nothing wrong. But when they ghosted, when they cut off or whatever relationship, it was obvious there was something wrong. But then, even, the thing that really gets me is when they tell somebody else and they come back to me. See, a lot of folks be hypocritical. They say, if confess your faults one to another or whatever and stuff like that. But then when it comes that they have an offense with you, they discuss it with others instead of discussing it with you. A lot of times when people have issues with me, I find out when I'm either blocked, unfriended, all these different things on Facebook, or somebody else come and tell me, this person got an issue with. I done confronted almost everybody that I confront people. I have no problem. I am not afraid of not a person. You can trust and believe. I ain't lying about that. You ain't whooping no ace here. No, I want to say the other word. And if you do, if you can whoop it, bring it. You know, I ain't had a fight in a long time, and sometimes my body be want to, because I still want to prove that I'm younger than what I am. Now that I'm over 50 and stuff like all that stuff, I used to say 50 was old, and now I want to say 50 is young. You get there, I want to be able to trust that my body can do certain things, and I'm getting to the point where I can't. And that in itself is, I'll be honest, it's a little scary. I'm never scared to die. I believe that my relationship is good, but I'm scared of leaving my family. I'm scared of not being the covering that I've been, I'm scared of that. I'm scared of losing being here and having a lack of access to my body parts. When I was when my Achilles was tore up, I was bedridden a lot of times, and I nobody came visit me really. I was very dependent on my wife and my children and stuff like that, and that didn't feel well. I was scared she was going to leave me, all that stuff, and we're not supposed to operate in the spirit of fear, but it was an unknown, and I learned that I could trust my wife because my first wife I couldn't trust her. There was many times in that situation where I would call home from work, she would answer. She would say she was at home. I would send people by the house or whatever, and her vehicle wouldn't be there. Me now, I ain't trying to find her. I really ain't. I got young adult children or whatever, and I asked them stuff or whatever, and I could know they lying because people done told me or whatever. I order, and it's like I try to have trust even with my own children, but it's hard because they doing what I did. I didn't really have to lie. I was told not to have sex in my grandmama house, and I was doing it. Wasn't lying about it. I was just doing it. I was very disrespectful. Didn't see it like that back then, but now I was very disrespectful, messing with a lot of different women, and I would tell them about it. I wouldn't. I've never been the best a liar. I'm not a good liar. I don't. Most of the time, you can ask my wife because when I dated her in high school, I cheated on her, and guess what? I told her. When she went to college, and we reconnected again. I cheated on her, and I told her. I'm not a good liar. I'm not. I talk too much, I guess, But anyway, I wish people would start considering the truth over lies, especially if you got a relationship with somebody. Be a lion, be bold, say what you need to say, but stop that lying. Be a lion and stop that lying. No, these small lies. Oh man, somebody said something about the small fox. Ruins the something. Stop this lying. Tell the truth. I'm like, if you don't like something, like, okay, look at this jacket. I made this. If I say, hey, what you think of? If you don't like it, you can say, well, I don't even want to answer, or I don't like it. Don't lie about it. You don't have to lie about it. I asked you directly, so I'm looking for a direct answer. If you do like it, say it. If you don't, you could say, "Oh, I don't like it," or you say, "I don't even want to answer that." But why say you like it and you don't? I don't know. I don't know. I never understood how people ask questions and they don't really want the answer. I laugh at TV shows when the woman asks the man, "Am I? Does this make me look fat?" Or, and knowing she fat. I don't know. You shouldn't ask a question that you really don't want to know the answer. I don't think, and so when I ask questions, I want to know the answer. And it ain't hurt if you tell me something. Everything that's not favorable. I'm one that look. I believe chastening and correction is love. If you tell me about myself, not if you just openly just tell me about myself, I'm good. Now, the main problem is that people only tell me about myself after they get upset with me. So they've known something that they wanted to say towards me a long time, but now that they feel offended by me, they lash out. So basically, they intentionally want to hurt me. I can't that I can't trust you. If only reason why you can tell me the truth is to hurt me and not to help me, I can't trust you. Abiyah, thank you for this. Just rambling in this talk. May you move me forward from this day so my emotions don't get me, my lack of trust don't get me. Let me be able to trust in you, because man is gonna be a liar. I'm hey, I know I'm even a liar at times. I'm not that I'm intentionally trying to deceive anybody, but again, I'm getting older. I don't even remember stuff correctly like I want to. I people say, man, you got a long memory, but long memory is getting very short, and it's not having the full details that it once had. So yeah, I thank you for just covering me all these many years and keep covering me. Thank you for covering my family, allowing me to be a covering to my family. And may I be the lion like Yahuda and not a liar like Hasatan. And that I always magnify your will being done on this earth as it is in the Shamayim. Hallelujah. 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 Shalom.